What is going on YouTube? My name is Lucas, and today I have the privilege of bringing you an interview with Drone Delivery Canada CEO and President Michael Zahra. Holy smokes, guys. This was a tremendous interview. It was a pleasure to interview Michael Zahra. I enjoyed every minute of it, and really it was loaded with a ton of content revolving around drones, revolving around the sector as a whole. Really, this was just a big piece for me. It was a complete humbling experience, so I can't thank Michael enough. So if you're interested in Drone Delivery Canada, because I know many of you are, I suggest you stay tuned for this interview. What is going on YouTube? My name is Lucas, and today we have a privilege and honor. This is incredible. We have Michael Zahra with Drone Delivery Canada, the CEO and current president. Holy smokes, what an opportunity. Michael, I appreciate you coming on the show.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
No problem. I've been looking forward to jumping into these questions, and hopefully I don't stump you too much.
No problem.
All right. So the first one up is kind of a little bit of a background. You joined the company in 2018. Since then, the business has really developed. It's done amazing. Obviously, drones are becoming very prevalent. Can you speak about some of the accomplished Drone Delivery Canada has done since you came on, and what we kind of are up to at this point?
Yeah, absolutely. So as you mentioned, I started in 2018. The company's been around for a few years prior to that. My mandate when I came on board back then was to take the business from a startup with an approved, developed, certified technology, and then take that and commercialize the business and go operational. So we signed a 10-year agreement with Air Canada. They're acting as a reseller agent. That's going incredibly well. For Canada and the US opportunities that we're working on and globally as well. We've had some great announcements there. And then we started to sign customers. We started to implement, generated our first revenues beginning of last year, and have gone fully operational and now continue to expand. We've signed some new customers, some LOIs that we're in the process of converting to customers, and hopefully we'll see that soon, and some other projects. So it's been a great few years, and really the focus right now is accelerating revenue. It's been a start for revenue last year, as I mentioned, but we've got a number of projects running. We've got a couple of pandemic-related projects that we're very excited about with Aboriginal Indigenous communities in Canada. We've got some commercial customers as well, and then we're working on a variety of projects that we hope to bring across the finish line, whether it's in mining or retail or healthcare, et cetera. So a lot of exciting things on the commercial and sales and customer side coming.
Yeah, that's tremendous. I mean, I know you guys have done a lot. I know a lot of letter intents and a lot of things like that. So you're getting a lot accomplished up there. The next thing is, can you speak about Drone Delivery Canada is trying to provide a turnkey solution to logistics, and really explain like the business model? Because I know your guys' business model is absolutely amazing, and a lot of the people that follow my channel, I'm actually gaining a lot more Canadian followers, and so they really wanted me to get this done, and so I kind of wanted to explain to them the business model.
Sure, but it's a good question, because there's a lot of people in the drone industry, and we're not necessarily all competitors. And in most cases, I would say we're not competitors, because there's some people who are doing data services, some people who are doing mapping, some people are doing photos and videos for a variety of applications. Some people are carrying sensors, and some people are looking at moving cargo. So a lot of companies, very, very different business models, very, very different technologies, very different goals and what they want to accomplish. But for us, I always kind of joke that despite the name, we're actually not a drone company.
Yeah,
meaning that we don't just sell somebody a piece of hardware or a piece of software and walk away. It's really a managed service. You could call it software as a service, device as a service. Certainly there are drones as part of the solution, and then there's automated battery management systems, and there's a software system called FLYTE, FLYTE, and this is all our intellectual property, and we've got a number of patents on it, and some more patents coming we expect soon. And we sell it as a turnkey solution. So for instance, if you are a retailer and you want to go warehouse to warehouse or warehouse to store or store to resident, if you are a mine and you want to move things from offsite to the mine or within around an open pit mine, for instance, or you are military and you want to bring supplies to frontline troops, or you are a logistics company, a UPS, a FedEx, something like that, and you want to use our service, our solution, our turnkey solution to then offer that service to somebody else, any of those business models work for us. So it could be somebody who's using it 100% for their own internal application. Like, off the south coast of the United States, they've got a lot of oil rigs. Maybe an oil company wants to use it to move things back and forth to an oil rig off the coast, between the mainland and off the coast. So it could be an own use application, or it could be, like I said, a FedEx or a UPS who's using it to provide a service to somebody else that they will charge for and they will get the revenue. So the business model for us is flexible in that regard, but it's always a turnkey solution. The system runs unmanned automatically, and then we monitor it from our operations control center, which is actually the virtual background you can see behind me here. And again, it's really sold as a software as a service or device as a service, as a managed service for the customer.
Yeah, I think that's incredible because, a lot when I've been covering drones and the companies and everything, it's like a lot of companies focus in on a niche or they focus in on a specific, solution. You guys encompass everything, but you're doing it in a way that you can provide it in every way. So I think that's incredible. And I think that's what's unique about your guys' company, which kind of leads me into the next thing. So Drone Delivery Canada has become a global and really presents a scalable operation. I mean, you guys really do that in many vertical industries such as logistics, medical, et cetera. And you've talked about that before. Can you speak about how this will benefit Drone Delivery Canada against maybe not necessarily competitors, but maybe other drone companies?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a good question because we designed the company from day one for global operations, for scalability. As an example, just to talk to the virtual background behind me, which is our operations control center here in Vaughan, just outside of Toronto in Canada. So, in some cases, no names mentioned, you might have one operator for one drone. I mean, that's great if you're doing, mapping or crop spraying, and it's just, a one-to-one relationship. It's not very scalable because for every drone or for every project, you now need to have a pilot. For us, the system runs unmanned automatically, and then we have people in our operations control center who are monitoring. And we can have multiple drones per operator. So we can scale because the system is running by itself. The operators are monitoring security and weather and making sure everything is okay and dealing with the customer and customer service and technical support. And they can take control and manually deconflict the situation in the field. If there's another aircraft having an emergency and everybody needs to get out of the way, we can take control over our drone and manually fly it. But otherwise, it's flying unmanned automatically. So that gives us scale, number one. Yep. Number two, this operations control center allows us to monitor and provide technical support, customer support, and this manual deconfliction, if on the rare occasion it's needed, for any of our drones operating anywhere in the world. So not only are we scalable, it's a global operation. And then thirdly, there are some countries that are, I would say, maybe high risk or high sensitivity around their data, et cetera, and they want to have the operations control center in their country. So we can reproduce on a smaller scale our operations control center in that country and then guarantee them that all the data is going to be kept in their country, because that might be a government requirement in some high security countries. So definitely global operations and definitely scalability is built into the core design of the business and the business model.
Yeah, I love to hear that, because that's huge. That's tremendous. So that my next piece is which drone operation, because obviously we're talking scalability and everything like that. Which do you think will be the quickest? Because I know this is evolving quickly because of the pandemic, and here even in the United States, it seems like the FAA has really loosened up, I guess you could say, a little bit. We're seeing some stuff being done at night. The 107 is being, done a lot quicker. Can you kind of speak about which one you think would be the quickest to really scalable but provide the service?
Yeah, absolutely. So you're right. The FAA has started to accelerate moving the industry forward. Transport Canada has been doing the same. We've seen that a little bit in Europe and India and Africa and Middle East and Australia and all the other places that we have prospects cooking. So the industry, the regulators genuinely want to move the industry forward, but we always kind of call it a crawl, walk, run approach, and we think it's appropriate because the last thing any of us want is a real cowboy airspace where anybody's doing anything, and it's that's going to be pretty ugly. So we welcome the regulators, we welcome what they do, we welcome strict rules and regulations, and they are genuinely moving it forward. You're absolutely right, and FAA included. I think, pre-pandemic, I would say that the applications that have gotten the most traction were healthcare related, because government regulators don't really care too much about you delivering a coffee and muffin to somebody's home, or getting the pizza there in 20 minutes instead of 30 minutes. That's not really very sexy. That doesn't really resonate with their mandate. It doesn't really help society very much, I guess. But healthcare, you've got remote areas, whether they're indigenous communities or not. You've got time critical deliveries. So that was sort of pre-pandemic. Healthcare was really important. And then I would say with the pandemic, it's raised the profile of the industry and then certainly of our company as well. As I mentioned, we've got a couple of projects that are specifically pandemic related. I think what we're seeing is healthcare being even more important and getting even more traction as a result of the pandemic. It's actually created a third use case after difficult access locations and then time critical deliveries. The third one being limiting person-to-person contact. So if you've got an indigenous community or you've got a hospital campus that has multiple buildings and they don't want to cross-contaminate from bringing the virus from one building to another building, or one building to a medical lab or to a senior home, that sort of thing, drones are perfect for that. So I would say, healthcare pre-pandemic was where people were getting the most traction, including us. And after the pandemic, very much so. And then I think, the more commercial, industrial applications, retail, e-commerce, mining, oil and gas we'll see traction there. But healthcare, I would say, is number one.
Awesome. Okay. And then that kind of leads me perfectly into the next thing. So drones are without a doubt a disruptive technology. I mean, we're getting there, and we're getting there, I feel, pretty quickly. Can you speak about how infrastructure for drones is shaping up from a global perspective? Are we getting closer to seeing drones in our everyday lives? And I understand that there's all different types of things we're starting to see where you're seeing drones fly from vehicles and doing deliveries. You're seeing, in some cases, some receptacles that are being developed where packages are going to be delivered. Can you kind of just speak about the overall kind of this perspective and really how it's shaping up?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people trying different things, and and obviously, I think everybody in the industry welcomes research and development, experimentation, that sort of thing. We're focused on what's going to provide a very, very robust environment in all kinds of conditions. So where you live, you're familiar with snow and ice. So we've got to develop systems that can operate day and night, and when we've flown day and night, rain, snow, and that sort of thing. So what we want to do is have something that's robust for all weather conditions, temperatures, wind, snow, icing, you name it. So the reciprocal type model is interesting if it's a beautiful sunny day and everything is calm. I'm not sure, and maybe I'm wrong, and we'll see. It's still early days and being developed. It's not what we think is going to be a robust solution for all applications. It might fit some niche applications, some niche weather, and some niche geographies. That's fine. What we're trying to do, like I said earlier, something that's scalable across the planet. And for us, we have a couple of different models. One is the preferred model, which is depot to depot. So we've got something called a drone spot. So we fly from a drone spot depot to a drone spot depot, and it could be multiple points of origin, multiple points of destination, whatever network we want. So that does require some infrastructure. You're right. But for the applications where the cargo is high value and high risk, which is often the case with some of the customers we're talking about, they like this model because it's very safe, very secure, it's disciplined, security cameras, access control, barcode scanners, all this sort of thing. So that's the preferred model. We can deviate from that and we can fly to a location, a residential address, for instance, and we can drop cargo. We typically don't use the tether because there's potential issues with that. We typically don't parachute because there could be issues with that as well. We just lower to a very low altitude and we drop the cargo and then we come back. That is the most robust solution we found that covers the broadest range of weather conditions and circumstances that you could see. So that's kind of the model that we prefer, either the depot to depot model or the drop. Now, what we're seeing is companies who are in the real estate space, they're building condos, building shopping malls, building apartment buildings, these sort of things. We're talking to them because they're reaching out to us, realizing this industry is taking off, I guess, pun intended.
Yeah.
And they want to build drone infrastructure into their facilities, whether it's a new hospital, whether it's a shopping mall or a government building or what have you. So we're looking at building sort of a drone spot type infrastructure that you can put in the back of a building, on the roof of a building, that sort of thing. But again, we need to have something that's going to work in all weather conditions, all temperature, environment, wind conditions. So, some of the things that we're seeing on YouTube, whatever, they're cool, but they might not be scalable in a broad range of conditions. But definitely infrastructure is part of it if you want a safe, secure, robust model.
Yeah. Because I know, obviously this is coming. And so I know people are trying to be creative and they're trying to figure out what's going to work best.
Yep.
And so it's cool to see the different aspects, but at some point we are going to have to really focus in and narrow in because this is going to be happening. So I was just kind of curious on your thoughts on that for sure. So the next piece, so consumer acceptability and safety. And I know that's a major part with the FAA because of BVLOS and once it gets beyond the visual line of sight, they're concerned about, the safety aspect. So when it comes to drone delivery goods and service, do you feel the acceptability is becoming more prevalent now as testing's being done, flights are being conducted? Are you seeing a lot more acceptability in Canada and things like that?
Yeah, so we've flown BVLOS in Canada and actually in the US 2 or 3 years ago, I forget when. So definitely consumers are looking at it from a risk point of view or an annoyance point of view, the noise, or you're going to be spying on my family in the backyard, enjoying the swimming pool because of your cameras and that sort of thing. So again, just like all the other things I mentioned, from day one, we've designed all of this into the technology and the business model. So for instance, we don't have cameras on our drone. So there's nobody who's looking on a screen or an iPhone or an iPad or whatever that's flying the drone. We don't use a camera on the drone. We have an optical sensor for precision landing, but it's not a camera that's going to video somebody flying over a residential area. So we deal with that way. From a noise point of view, we found, and I've been to lots of flights, of course, at customers, and we have our own test range. The noise from one of our drones is, I would say, less than a major aircraft flying at 30,000 feet. So they're not that noisy.
Mm-hmm.
You want them to be a little noisy because they scare birds away, so you don't have bird strikes. So there's some benefit of that. But I think in the end, when residential customers are looking at drones, I think they're looking at the coffee and muffin and pizza, because a lot of people are posting videos of that kind of stuff, and that's cool for YouTube videos, but doesn't make for a great business model. I think once consumers see the kind of things that we're doing, where we could be delivering medical care, whether it's urgent like defibrillators or an EpiPen or an asthma inhaler or a snake bite kit or something like that, I think it's going to be a lot more accepted because there's social value and it's not just delivering a pizza 10 minutes earlier. So I think residential customers are going to be very accommodating and very accepting of it once they realize that nobody's spying on them, and then there's no issues with privacy as a result. and the value of the drone is healthcare related. So I think we're starting to see that with our projects, because a lot of them are pandemic and healthcare related for us, and we get immediate buy-in. We do a lot of outreach with communities, and they love what we're doing, and they come out and visit the projects, and they see the healthcare value, and they love it.
Yeah, that's incredible. So this question is kind of my thinking, because I've honestly dove in so much when I'm doing YouTube and I'm covering drones. So with an emergency aspect, obviously in our current situation, if we see something or we're in an emergency, we dial 911. Do you think there's ever a point where, like, if we do call 911, that we could be getting dispatched to maybe something like what's behind you right now, where they may dispatch a drone and it goes out and it, like you said, it delivers an EpiPen, it may deliver any type of medical supplies? Do you think where that could be, something we see in the future?
So we're actually doing that right now in some pilot projects, which some of the municipalities here outside of Toronto. It's we call it AED on the fly. So it's basically defibrillator on the fly. So the model is either either a rural environment where the ambulance could take a long time to get there because of distance, or it could be volunteer fire department, et cetera, and it takes a little longer. And if you're having a cardiac arrest, the probability of you surviving goes down by 10% for every 1 minute it takes for the ambulance to get to you. So if the ambulance can take 20 minutes, 10 minutes, 30 minutes, you're not going to make it. So we actually have a project where we've proven that we can deliver a defibrillator to a simulated cardiac arrest person in the field, and have a lay person then take that automatic defibrillator. So it could be a spouse or a sibling or whoever's around, and then apply that automatic defibrillator. We get there faster than the ambulance does. So we've proven that we can do that. We are also developing another project. We might have a patent coming on it in the next little while, about other kind of medical applications, specifically to the ones I mentioned, where you're delivering an EpiPen for somebody who's got a bee sting and is allergic, or asthma inhaler, snake bite kit, a variety of emergency medical aid. So we're actually doing that right now. The first phase has been with this defibrillator program.
Okay, awesome. That's unique, because I think, as we continue to move forward, like I said, the evolution is going to continue, and it's, everyone's eventually going to start doing certain things. And I always thought that would be kind of cool, to see if I dial 911, a drone's going to be dropping off maybe a first aid kit or something. And I think that, car accidents, my mind started racing, and that's something I thought of. So
yeah, absolutely. I mean, you could be canoeing with your family, and you're in the middle of nowhere. You could be hours from a road, never mind a hospital. You could be rock climbing. There's an emergency. You need to get supplies. I mean, still, EMS is still going to come, but we can get there faster with emergency aid, and we can save lives. So.
Yeah, and that's what's awesome. So, so this next, I'm going to kind of get into a little bit, shift gears a little bit. Since you've been at Drone Delivery Canada, what has been your biggest accomplishment? What do you feel most kind of excited about? And you're like, man, this one was either tough, or I'm just proud of this one the most.
Yeah, I would say in general, it's commercializing the business, because it's a big effort for anybody who's worked at a startup to take it from a startup to a commercialized business and operational and generating revenue and signing a partnership with a major airline like Air Canada, et cetera. So I think generally myself and all of us are most proud of that. But I would say, the healthcare related projects, I would say, are the ones that we're most proud of if you're looking at specific projects. Something that where we're helping, whether it's a First Nations community, or we're helping with the pandemic, or we're helping move PPE, or the defibrillator program that we just talked about. I think those are the ones that we're all very proud of. Anybody can have, a small drone that takes 2 pounds and goes 2 miles and do a, cute YouTube video delivering a coffee and muffin, and that's great. And maybe it advances the industry a little bit, and, that's wonderful. And if that's your business model, that's cool. But I think we're trying to do a little bit more, starting with healthcare. And then obviously when the bigger drones come, and the largest drone, the Condor, I mean, we could be doing some serious humanitarian aid for disaster relief, whether it's a major flood or a hurricane that's come through or something like that. So, I think the fact that we can, develop a commercial viable business model that we know is working, we're getting really good traction, but also help society. I think if you can do both of those things, I think that's where the magic is.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. I like that for sure. So my final question, I'm sure you get asked this a lot. What can you talk about that we can expect here in the near term, or that you're able to actually say for the coming months? Like, what's Drone Delivery Canada working on? At least something that you can talk about.
Yeah, sometimes I wish we were not publicly traded because I could talk about all kinds of great things that we're going to be bringing across the finish line and give you all kinds of detail. And I think people would be really excited about some of the names that we're working with. But within the constraints of a publicly traded company, we are working to take some of the LOIs that we announced a little while ago and bring them across the finish line. And the reason, I mean, just for your information and for everybody's information, the reason we did these LOIs is we wanted to be as transparent as we are allowed to be.
Yeah.
And the analogy that I heard someone say, and I kind of liked it, is sometimes you announce your engagement before you announce your wedding, and that's sort of common, and we wanted to do that, and it gave us an opportunity within the rules of disclosure to be able to say something and give guidance on what we're working on. So we're focused on bringing some of those LOIs across the finish line in Canada and internationally, of course. We have some new projects with new customers we're expected to bring across the finish line in the next little while, things that we've not talked about before. So I think there's some projects that people will see in the next little while and some announcements. So I think people, when they see the names of these companies, I think they're going to be very, very, very excited. And then certainly continuing to advance the technology. We are wrapping up testing on the Condor and the Robin. We've had very successful flights and testing very rigorously with both of those. We're just coming out of winter, some cold weather testing and flight testing and all of the automation and remote monitoring. So we're excited about the technology. So I think customer deals and technology announcements over the next little while, I think are going to be some exciting news that people will see.
That's awesome. Well, Michael, I appreciate your time. I really do. This is, a pleasure, and hopefully we can do this again in the future because this was incredible. Great information for, the viewers. I know a lot of people. It's awesome because I am truly getting more Canadian people. I get made fun of all the time because I can't pronounce Saskatchewan. I think I pronounced it correctly there. So all of my Canadian people make fun of me for my pronouncing. So I really do appreciate your time. This was awesome. So thank you, sir.
No, I really appreciate your time, and thanks for the opportunity to tell our story. We're really excited about what we're doing, and appreciate being on the show.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.